I've been using my Dymo Omega for about 3 months now, and generally I still think it's grand. All of the labels are still sticking on and they're very clear and legible. I did, however, come across one specific issue with one specific character, the number 9, and sometimes it just wasn't printing out legibly at all. So I decided to take it apart using a screwdriver to see if there was anything that I could see that was obvious. I suppose I should just show you what I'm speaking about now. Hopefully it will come up with the error. Okay, it's printing them out. Not too bad at the moment. Then if I went 1, 9, okay, so you can see there the 9 is just illegible. Anyway, back to the screwdriver. So you take these screws out of the bottom, and I have taken this apart a few times now. So when the first time I took it apart, the screws were pretty tight, to be honest. Okay, and also the casing was quite tight, and I actually put a knife in there and twisted it round to splay them apart. Now it's a bit looser. I'll just take the tape out, make things easier, and just push gently. Okay, and there you go. It comes apart quite easily. Nothing seemed to fall out, and this is the bit that I wanted to have a look at. So I suppose when you're putting it back together, that groove there goes to the back. You'll see why I'm saying that later. When you pull on the trigger, it pushes up the cam, which then pushes on the, I'll turn it round to a letter, which pushes on the tine and forces the letter into its opposite. I'll just show you what I mean now. Okay, so here are the two discs. I'm looking for the number 9. It's there, and I can't see anything obvious that would cause an issue. And there's the number 9 there, and again, there's nothing on the disc that suggests there's an issue. One thing that was quite amusing, or quite interesting, was it's got 2 cutting blades. And that's because one cuts all the way through and one cuts the actual label but not the tape at the back, so it's easier to peel off. Quite remarkable that they get that on such a cheap plastic product, that they actually get that to function properly. Anyway, it does. So these arrows get set up like that, and let's just put it on here first and turn it round, and needless to say, the characters go to the top so you can see them, and just stick that back in, and as I say, this goes to the back. Pop the screw back in, Make sure that these arrows are lined up. Okay, well that seems to be hunky-dory. It's all nice and tight. I can't move the top ring and the bottom ring out of sync. So I'm just going to put it back together, having not seen anything. So there are a couple of lugs either side and corresponding on the other side. So just pushing that back in. And what I did find was this spring here was the bit that I found a bit tricky to locate into when putting it back together. So maybe locate that back in first. Okay. And this bit goes in. So there you go, there's not much to it, and it's pretty easy to put it back together again as well. But what I was hoping for was to see something obvious that would mean that I could just fix that easily, but there isn't. So having taken it apart, maybe it will work properly this time. And the actual label that I was typing out was Ovata. Okay, let's go back. Space. Ovata space February space 19 space, and what I found when I tried it again was that if I went 1 and then went round the long way, it sometimes worked. Hopefully it will this time. And it has, look at that. So although it's had this glitch, I've taken it apart, I can't see anything obvious. When I turn it, as I say, direct from the 1 to the 9, it had the issue. When I went from the 1 all the way around the long way to the 9, then it doesn't have the issue. So that's weird. Anyway, I upgraded to the Brother PTouch, and it's mighty. I love it to bits. This one's called the Plant Labeler, I suspect just because it's in a green colour. So turning it on, I've already got a label in here, and I'll just cycle through the things I really like about it. First of all, you can set the size of the lettering, the height of the lettering, and it shows you on the display. Okay, so large, medium, small. And for the plug trays, I have the large lettering. For the seed trays, I have the medium lettering, and I suspect if you were doing other things, you might want the small lettering. And I'll show you that when I get into the outhouse and the polytunnels later. Other things I really like about it, As you can see here, you can quickly flip through it, and it does upper and lower case. Okay, and it shows you that there. So as you can see, it just makes it the labels look that much more readable, nicer to look at, aesthetically pleasing. And other things I really like about it are if you press the menu, okay, so you can preview your label, and that's quite handy if you've got a long label. There you go. And if I press menu again, file, okay, so you can save up to 9 different names, and that saves you typing them all in again. And 9's not very many, considering there are over 700 different varieties of eucalyptus, but 9's a good start. It covers the most common ones. So I am going to be printing out Dullright Empliana, so I'm just going to press the button on that, and there we go. Okay, one little thing that you need to be aware of is, I'm not going to go through all the functions of this, it's got huge numbers of them. Read the instructions, it does lots of fancy things. I'm not going to get into it, it would take an hour. Anyway, this has the margins on either side, full margin, and this has a narrow margin, and as you can see, it's only got a narrow margin on the right hand side, and what it does is it etches a couple of dots, and you cut it with a pair of scissors, and that gives you a narrow margin on that side. So if you were printing out 9 labels, and that's another thing I like about it, when you do go to print, it gives you copies 1, and you can have up to 9. So if you're printing out 9 copies, then that would be fine. So it would give you, you would be cutting it with a pair of scissors, it just gives you the couple of dots, and your margins on the last 8 would be all narrow, and on the first one you're just going to waste this little bit at the beginning, and that's got to do with the way the print head and the cartridge is set up. There's nothing you can do about that. Just while we're there at the cartridge, it's so easy to replace the cartridge, which is another thing, or change over the cartridge even. I've got white on green, it comes with a sample here which is white on black. So I'm just going to put the white on green back in, and as you can see, that was dead easy. So it's a lot easier than the Dymo. And so let's just turn it on and let's print that off. I'll just check the margin. Okay, so it's on narrow at the moment. Chain print is for fancier things, and as I say, look at the instructions. There's just so many different things you can do with this. Full, excuse me, or half, and I'll go with narrow. Copies 1. Okay. Right, I see what's happened there. Okay, so I didn't save that. So space uppercase MARCH space 20, and that's my convention. And what you can do is, I could save that, but You know, I'm unlikely to plug up more Dalry and Pliana in March, so I won't. Copies 1, print. So I guess that's one reason you would want to preview your label first. So it prints it out, or it etches it out onto the tape really nicely, and you get huge ranges of different colours and styles. So as I say, there are a huge range of things this can do, different styles of lettering, wingdings to a certain extent. You can write on 2 lines. Okay, so that's going to put another line now. You can do cable lettering, so you can print it out and it will print a label, so it would have a double of that, so that you can wrap it round a cable and it will print it out. As I say, read the instructions. It, you know, fabulous for cables, plant labels, everything. Does everything the Dymo does and a lot more. So I'll just get into the outhouse and the polytunnels and show you how to do things there. Okay, so I'm just going to go through a couple of things here. Firstly, in terms of the margin, I have just now had a wee test with it, and if you're printing out a lot of labels, then yeah, you only get that 2 centimeters waste on the first label. So a gentleman gave me some Populus robusta, poplar shoots. They come in sticks, which you can just stick in the ground. Quite amazing, poplar trees. Anyway, I'm going to print off some labels here just to show you. So I'm going to print copies 3. I've already printed off 9. I'm just going to print them. So in terms of speed, you know, if you were to, I've already done 9 and that's another 3. So if I was typing them into the Dymo Omega, that would take me quite a while. So I'll just show you what I mean. So you are going to get that 2 centimeters or so at the very beginning. Hopefully you can see this. That's going to be waste. But then on the next one, you're going to get the margin, you know, the narrow margin at the back of that one and at the beginning of that one. So you're just going to waste the 1-2 centimeters. Okay, next up, in terms of what I like about both the Dymo Omega and the Brother PTouch is, in terms of being able to peel the labels off, and it's, you know, it doesn't matter what you're sticking the labels on. One thing that's a real pain is that you peel a label off and you get left with a lot of mess underneath, or you can't peel the label off completely. As you can see, so in terms of being able to reuse things, it's just far easier to have either of these. So one thing I like about the Dymo Omega is it's much easier to peel the backing off, but for both of them it's just so easy to peel the label back off and you don't get left with a mess underneath. Okay, so I'll just print out my labels here, and again it's good to be able to get to that menu. File, open, Dalry and Pliana, go to the end of this, and I want the medium for this one because it's going on a seed tray and I just want 1 copy. this is going on a plug tray, so I want the large and I just want one copy. Copies one. Just much faster. Okay, and back to menu, file, open, Manalis, March 7th, and I want this to be medium. Just so fast, it's just so easy. Okay, so in terms of sticking them on, one thing that I would say is, or as I have said, I think the Dymo Omega just makes peeling off the backing just much easier. Perhaps I just need to improve my technique a bit for these. Okay, I got it that time. And they're reasonably handleable. So let's just see, there we go on there. Okay, with the Brother PTouch labels, tape labels, they will actually curve round corners, which is an advantage in terms of if you have an awkward space. I'm putting these on the top of my seed trays. When I put the covers on, I can see this through them. When I put them in the racks, it means I can see them. Having them done that way meant I had to lift them out the racks to have a look. Okay, so probably getting more into my business game plan than anything else. Anyway, so maybe I have. Maybe when you're getting the labels off, you just need to really almost fold it in half when you're getting the backing off. Okay, there you go. Maybe I've cracked it. Okay, they are very handleable. Perfect. Okay, I didn't take the edge off that one, just for neatness. Okay. So as I say, I like both of them. They were the Dymo Omega was a huge improvement on what I was doing before, as you can see in the other video. The Brother PTouch is in a class of its own in comparison. The Brother PTouch is more of a business tool. I will be labeling a lot of plug trays, seed trays and plant pots. The one thing that I thought in terms of the Dymo Omega is it's embossed, so it means that it'll pretty much in 20 years time you could come back with a piece of paper and a pencil and rub over it and still see what it says. Having said that, there was one review online and the person there was saying that he had labels from his Brother PTouch from 5 years previous and they were still legible, no problems, no fading. So 5 years is a pretty reasonable amount of time. I would imagine that the plastic is UV stabilized, so it's not going to fade in sunlight, but I can't give you a definite on that one at the moment. So I was going to finish off in the polytunnels, but I think I've said everything I need to say. I am delighted with the Brother PTouch, and I was also delighted with the Dymo Omega. It did have that one glitch with that character, but apart from that, it's grand. But the Brother PTouch is mighty. Hope that helps. Have a happy day.